Alright, here we go. What's up, everybody? I'm back like that. Never mind. Anyway, I'm back with another chess review, chess set review. This chess set is the Fierce Knight set from the chess store. I bought it off of them on eBay. The price was $159, including the board. This is the board that came with it. It was a 2-inch squared board. The king is a 3.5. The base is 1.625. But I have a story to tell you about that in a second. I think 1.625 base is too big for a 2-inch squared board. But originally, when I bought this set, the advertisement said that the base was 1.5. You might think that's nitpicking, but the advertisement also said that the king weighed 3.6 ounces, which would make it pretty much a triple-weighted king. But this king doesn't weigh 3.6 ounces; it weighs 2.3 ounces, more in line with what a double-weighted king is. So I took that up with the chess store, and they basically told me that the advertisement was an old advertisement with regard to the Fierce Knight series. And they don't make this set with a 3.6 ounce king anymore. They don't make a triple weighted Fierce Knight set, and so there was nothing she could do for me as far as swapping out the set that I originally wanted. So they gave me a 10% discount, basically $16 off of the $159 or $160. So it came out to $134 total for the set and board, which I thought is a good deal. And the double weighted feels good, don't get me wrong. Double weighted is enough. I wanted triple weighted, but I can live with double weighted. It's not underweighted as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so good to go for the chess stores resolving that issue. I want to also mention before I get into it, because I'll forget, that the one discrepancy I found with this particular set was that the king, I don't know if you can see it up top here, came chipped. It's a small chip. It's not something I would take up with the chess store, and I didn't. And it's not that it was chipped during shipping, because the chip doesn't show natural wood underneath. It shows that it's been ebonized, so they ebonized over the chip. They saw the chip, or they neglected to see the chip, and this is how they ebonized it, and this is how they shipped it to me, this way. So I think that's not good. It's not a major thing, although I can live with it, so I'm not going to say anything about it to the chess store, but I think you should know, as far as customers, the quality control that I got with this particular set. Just my personal experience. Okay, so here we go. Here are my thoughts on the aesthetics of the pieces, and as a set as a whole. With the pieces in relationship to each other, do they fit? What do I think about them? And of course you'll have your thoughts about them, but I'm just here to present the chess set so you can take a good look at it, and then maybe you'll share my opinions. Okay, the pawn. Again, the pawn is your typical pawn. It's got a ball up top. It's got a collar. This part here, maybe let's call it the neck. It's not too thin, so that's what you want. You don't want your pawn to be too brittle. If you'll notice, with the bottom footing here, and this is true with a lot of sets I see, the most bottom part of the base. Well, there's only two parts. So the bottom part of the base, if we consider this part the top part of the base, and this part the bottom part of the base, it flares out beyond the top part of the base, and this is what makes this set a 1.625 set with regard to the width of the king, the diameter of the king, the base of the king, and I think that's kind of a cheat, and it also doesn't look as good. It just looks much better when this bottom part is equal in diameter to the part right above it. So, and it actually makes this set now actually not a good fit with this board. Is it terrible? No, but I don't like it, and I wouldn't have bought it. I would have bought a bigger board, or I wouldn't have bought the board with this set. I would have just bought the pieces. Okay, but I do have a set that fits this board, so I'm not gonna make an issue out of it. So let's move on to the Rook. This particular set has pretty much something that really bothers me, is when the Rook is too close in size to the pawn, especially on the chessboard. You don't want the Rook to be hidden behind the pawn. Now you're getting the benefit because the camera is kind of at an angle, and I guess you kind of look at, that's how it would look to you when you're sitting over the board. You're looking down on it. But still, as far as Rook and pawn stature-wise, size-wise, I think this pawn is too close in size to the Rook, so the Rook is too small. Right? I don't want the pawn any smaller, so the Rook is too small. Design-wise, it's fine. The neck here, this part is a little thin, and this makes the tower part, or the parapet part up here, flare out a little bit more than I like, but that's a minor detail. I like that the crenellations aren't cut too deep. You'll see that in the Reykjavik set from the House of... the House of Staunton Reykjavik set. The parapet is cut too deep on their Reykjavik series chess set. Sorry, I keep fumbling over my words today. And other than that, though, the design is good. It should be taller. It should be a little bit beefier. So that's my gripe when it comes to the Rook. Now, what I do want to say about this Fierce Knight collection is the Fierce Knight itself. It is the best looking knight of the 3 sets that I have. It doesn't have the L-shaped look exactly. It's got the knight with a bit of a tilt. The head is a bit tilted down, which is more reminiscent of what a real horse looks like. You never see horses with their heads, parallel to the ground. I mean, unless they're doing something. But other than that, the tilt is natural. And the detail for the Fierce Knight is good. The teeth, the open mouth there a little bit, the nostrils, the ears perked up, the mane, the feel here when you grab it, the contours, it's got the little divots. So just detail-wise, this knight I think is a home run. This is the best knight of all the sets that I have, of all 3 sets that I have. Size-wise, perfect. Design, great design. No complaints. So good job on the knight. Next we go to the bishop. What I like about this bishop is the big cut, right? It gives it a very distinct look to it, where it's not going to be confused with a pawn. It doesn't look like an oversized pawn. Now, if we turn it this way and cover the top and we cover the little ball up top, it kind of does, but again, like I said before, that's not all you're getting when you get the bishop. You're getting the cut, you're getting the elongated head here, and it's kind of narrow, so it doesn't look like the ball here, and then you get the little ball up top. And of course, size-wise, there's a big difference, so it's a good bishop. It's a good-looking bishop, and you get the collar to add some heftiness. This is, I don't know if this is a little thin, but it's good. So bishop-wise, good. Knight, good. Rook, small. Pawn, good. Queen. Here's my problem. Here's another problem I have with this set. Sorry if I'm rushing through this. Let me slow down. This set gets the bishop and queen relationship wrong. They're too close. They're too close in size. You can see that the bishop and the queen aren't nearly identical in size. Well, maybe not identical, but it's too close. That's not a difference that you would notice in a cluttered board, and you wouldn't take it in instantly. You'd have to you'd have to process something to know that, hey, that's the queen and that's the bishop. As far as they're different sizes, they're different pieces. Right now, of course, the coronation or the crown here gives it away. But that wasn't there. The relationship isn't indicated by the size, and I think it should be. So I think they get this wrong with this set. And then the other part that they get this set wrong with is, again, the queen is dwarfed by the king. I went into this with my other set. I don't think the queen, being the most powerful piece on the board, should be dwarfed even by the king, which is the most important piece on the board, because without the king, the game's over, right? You're the king. And again, this king has the rectangular cross, which is a kind of a cheat as far as height goes, and it doesn't look as good, I think. I think a square cross, like you see on the St. Petersburg set from Wholesale Chess, is a better cross. It's not a major thing. but it is a better cross. So this one has the longer rectangular cut on the cross, and it doesn't help that it's also making the king taller than the queen by more than it probably could have been or should have been. So as far as relationships goes, again, queen dwarfed by the king, no good. Queen almost same size as the bishop, no good. Bishop and knight size is good. Rook too small, pawn just fine. So really, this set would be improved, I think, significantly. If we raise up the pieces. Let's see. I'm going to put a quarter and a nickel to raise this up, and then you judge for yourself. Let's see if I can hide the bases from you so it looks kind of weird just like that. This is what I think should be more in line with what it should look like, right? This is what you want. The rook clearly bigger than the pawn, the queen clearly bigger than the bishop, and the queen not dwarfed by the king, even though I think here it's still getting dwarfed, and it could even use maybe a little more height to it. Let's see what that does to it. So better, right? That's better. But you don't get that. And so take a look at this. Take a look at the height difference. If you think that looks about right, that looks good. Now, when I go back to the original, it'll really jump out at you. And to me, it always does. But take a look now. You tell me if the height difference is something that you notice now in a negative way, as far as whether you like it or not. Okay. Now, so this chess set is a boxwood and an ebonized boxwood, as all three of my sets are. I've talked about this in my other set, but I like the black and the natural boxwood look. I don't like highly contoured brown pieces because I think the contours jump out at you too much, and they detract by drawing your attention to them. They detract from the simplicity, the elegance of the board or of the set. This set is quality control. I think I mentioned the only discrepancy I had, and it's one that I think is not worth bringing up with the chess store, was the chipped knight. I mean the chipped king. I showed it to you. It's not a big major thing, but you know, it is what it is. That's what they sent me. Great knight. I wish this knight was part of the other sets that I had, with more or less detail taken away just to match the other pieces. The bishop I like. I like the big cut here. It kind of looks like Elmo here with the little, well, maybe that's not a good look, but Elmo with the little mouth here. But what's important is that it looks different from the pawn. Very much so. So the bigger the difference between pawn and bishop, I think the better. The queen, again, undersized compared to the king, and undersized in respect to the bishop. So this set gets these two pieces I think very wrong. But aesthetically, it's still a nice set. You know, I'm not taking away from the design of the pieces, the base, the bottom footing. I prefer differently. And here, the wood that they chose for this particular set has a lot of grain to it, and I don't mind the grain so much on the ebonized, on the natural boxwood. I just don't like it on the brown, where it clearly jumps out at you. You know, you have the dark black lines jumping out at you. But on this set, it's nice. So that's this is the, what is this? This is the Fierce Knight series from the chess store. The king, I don't know if I mentioned the details. Let me put some numbers in front of myself here so I can remember. The king is 3.5 inches. I've taken calipers for these. Is about roughly right. The base is 1.625. The weight is 2.3 ounces, which is roughly a double-weighted set, which is a good feel for a set of this height. I recommend the squares at least 2.1/8 inch, maybe 2.25 inch. The set was $119 before the 10% discount. and free shipping. I do believe that's right. Anyway, it's listed as $119 on their site. I know they offer free shipping, but I think there's a 10% on top of that. I can't remember anymore what happened. But like I said, I bought this set. I bought this set from the chess store with this board, but the advertisement was a heavier set, and they gave me 10% discount on my entire purchase. So I was pleased with that. With that as the resolution to our problem. Otherwise, I would have wanted my money back and in exchange to return the set. But I'm happy to keep this set, despite what I think are pieces poorly designed, because I think overall it looks good. I'd give this set like a 7.5 aesthetically, which includes everything. All right, so that's the Fierce Knight chess set from the chess store. By the way, the board is nice. I like it. I'd recommend it. I would just recommend bigger squares for this particular set. All right, thanks again, guys. Leave your comments and all your pithy remarks below. I will rush to read them, and they will affect me deeply. So be kind. All right, later. Alright, here we go. What's up, everybody? I'm back. Like that. Never mind. Anyway, I'm back with another chess review. Chess set review. This chess set is the Fierce Knight set from the chess store. I bought it off of them on eBay. The price was $159, including the board. This is the board that came with it. It was a 2-inch square board. The king is a 3.5. The base is 1.625. But I have a story to tell you about that in a second. I think 1.625 base is too big for a 2-inch square board. But originally, when I bought this set, the advertisement said that the base was 1.5. You might think that's nitpicking, but the advertisement also said that the king weighed 3.6 ounces, which would make it pretty much a triple-weighted king. But this king doesn't weigh 3.6 ounces; it weighs 2.3 ounces, more in line with what a double-weighted king is. So I took that up with the chess store, and they basically told me that the advertisement was an old advertisement with regard to the Fierce Knight series. And they don't make this set with a 3.6 ounce king anymore. They don't make a triple weighted Fierce Knight set, and so there was nothing she could do for me as far as swapping out